Sup boys, it's Figure here. I'm going to compare the Epoch Shaman to the Turtle Wow Shaman. I don't necessarily want to be like antagonistic, like one server's better than the other, blah, blah, blah. I think that they're going for different things. I think they have different visions of the game and what they want to achieve with it. But I will be playing Epoch, and if I believe it to be the superior server, I will stick with it. You know, I'm not sold on any particular server. You know, I just wanted to talk about like their vision for the Shaman compared to the Turtle Wow vision for the Shaman. And the TLDR, guys, the TLDR is that I think that the Totem and the Totem reworks is superior. Making the Totems raid wide was a superior choice. I think that Elemental is way better. I think that Restoration is a little bit better. And I think that Enhancement, it's probably, I would say on the whole, worse. Slash has some potential like problems and snags. And we'll get to that, right? So, yeah, I just wanted to talk about like how I think that their vision is a bit superior in my opinion, just based on what I'm reading here. You know, I haven't played the server, so like the tuning and the numbers and the stuff like that might all be off. They could dramatically tune or retune things shortly after launch. I don't know, but conceptually, I think the setup and the talents and all that stuff makes more sense that way. So we'll start here. The kind of overview. So first of all, they're coming to the Alliance. This doesn't really affect the class that much, but it is worth noting that if you played a lot of Shaman, you've been Horde exclusively, so now you have the option to play as Alliance and experience the Alliance quest lines, and I think that's cool, and I think that's worth mentioning. So yeah, totemic improvements. In my opinion, they should have put totemic improvements and raid-wide effects next to each other, because it's kind of important to understand that many totems are raid-wide now. And this is just huge for like logistics of organizing a raid. This is great for raid compositions. This is great for basically, you know, you don't have to have that issue where it's like, oh no, we're one Shaman short of all the melee groups we have. No, fuck, dude, fuck this game, right? like the melee DPS don't get to play the game. They do like shit damage. It's just, it's fucked. I hate that, right? And now it's just like, Wind Fury's raid wide, fuck you. And maybe now that Wind Fury's raid wide, we can agree that it's overpowered and maybe nerf it a bit. I don't know. So it's just saying, guys. Just saying. I think Wind Fury Totem's a bit too strong. But anyway, yeah, like so yeah. The ones that are raid wide, it's pretty interesting. They're mostly throughput talents. So what will happen in an actual raid environment? Like ideally, you have like, let's say you have an Elemental, an Enhancement, and a Resto. Like, you have 3 Shamans in like a 25-man raid. That's pretty reasonable. So you'll have like the Enhancement dropping like Strength of Earth, Grace of Air, maybe like a Resist Totem on like the water or the fire. You'll have like the Elemental Shaman. He'll be dropping like Wrath of Air, which is a spell power buff from TBC. Totem of Wrath, and you know, he'll be dropping maybe Tranquil Air for his group as well. Oh no, that's exclusive with Wrath of Air. Sorry, my bad. And you know, he could drop Mana Spring, I guess. And then you have like your Resto Shaman, and he drops like Healing Stream, and Healing Stream will work. I'll get into Healing Stream, what Healing Stream does later. It's a bit different now. And he'll be dropping like, yeah, and he can drop Tranquil Air for like a specific party to get threat reduction. So you can kind of muzzle a certain pumper DPS group with like a threat reduction. And you know, it's just way easier to like coordinate across the raid. Okay, we got 3 Shamans. Okay, it's 25-man raid group. We got 3 Shamans. Okay, you drop this shit, I drop this shit, and I drop this shit. You know, we set up our totem bars, blah 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 at the start of the raid, and then we use this Call the Element spell to drop those 4 totems pretty consistently. And then when we get into the edge cases, it's like, okay, we need something specific, more party-wide. Okay, we can do the Tranquil Air muzzling over here, or we could do like grounding for our group. We could do like tremor for our group. We could do like stone skin for the tank group, maybe, if we give a shit. That spell kind of sucks, but my point is, right, it's just way easier to like play around like with totems, and it's way more accessible to the newbie player to like set up a little totem bar that's in the base UI. You don't have to get a fucking add-on for it. Set up a little totem bar, and you talk to the other shamans, and they're like, I'm on this buff and you're on that buff, and you press the button and you drop the totems. It's a lot more accessible for like newer players. I think like people who want to play Shaman as an alt. Ugh! Disgusting people who want to play Shaman as an alt. And people who want to like just get into the class, haven't really played the class much before. They're going to find this a lot more accessible than the shit I'm doing on Turtle WoW, where I'm like, okay, well, I'm in a specific group. I have to think, there's such like opportunity cost. There's so much like complexity. It's like, well, is it best if I'm in a melee group to drop on the Wind Fury? It's like, should I actually put a second Shaman in the melee group to get both Grace of Air and Wind Fury? And like, it's just kind of a mess. Like, it's just, it just gets like really like complex, right? Really fast. And, you're dropping, the way they do it is they have like a separate global cooldown for every element of totem. So what that basically encourages is you making a custom macro to drop 4 totems. Why not just put in a fucking button that drops 4 totems? That's what Epoch did. That's what Retail WoW did. I'm sorry, if you're just gonna make a system where the obvious like follow-up is to just make a macro for it, bro, you may as well just bake it into the class, right? It just makes like things way more accessible. So yeah, in my opinion, it's a superior totem setup. It's going to be a lot more accessible to like newbie players. And I feel like should comment on Mana Spring and Healing Stream, because you're probably thinking, Mana Spring, Healing Spring, who gives a fuck? So Mana Spring and Healing Spring Healing Stream is now a raid-wide smart heal. So it just picks 5 targets that have actually taken damage and just heal. It's just going off all the time, right? Before it used to be party-wide, and it was like 3 out of the 5 guys would be topped off anyway, so it was just over-healing, just did nothing. I mean, this totem was already kind of weak as it is. So I like when they make a weak totem more powerful, not by just buffing its numbers, but like actually making it more like convenient and like making it more available, making it more accessible. And, doing this raid-wide smart healing, I think was just a very smart move. I think it was a very high IQ change. Maybe it just needs like a little buff as well, but I think this is like a strong like foundation, right? And the Mana Spring, it's raid wide now, and on top of that, it's 17 mana per 2 seconds. This is good. This brings it up to more parity with Blessing of Wisdom. Blessing of Wisdom in vanilla, it's like you get to apply it to the entire raid with greater blessings. It lasts way longer. It's completely, like, once you apply it, you don't need to think about it anymore. You just go into the fight and it's ticking away. Mana Spring Totem did like 10 mana per 2 seconds instead of like 17 mana per 2. And so you got less mana out of it. And you had to place it and refresh it in a fight, and refreshing it costed mana. And there was a positional requirement. People had to be around the totem for it to work. Like, it's just fucking stupid. Like, Mana Spring was like way more inconvenient, gave you less mana. It was just dumb. So now it's just a raid-wide, like 17 mana for everybody. Cool. There's still a positional requirement. Whatever, I can live with that. Mana Spring is like way like stronger now. It's nice. Okay, cool. So, and Mana Tide also appears to be raid-wide. Touch wood. I say that because they've already said that this totem is raid-wide, and it says group members, and Mana Tide also says group members, but then there's like other totems that say party / raid members. Like, so Strength of Earth, it says increases the strength of party and raid members. All right, so, and then here it says group members, and then for this one it says party members. So there's 3 different things going on. So I think Mana Spring, Mana Tide are raid-wide. Tranquil Air, Stone Skin, Wind Wall, Grounding, Tremor. Those are all those are definitely party. They say they're party. And I think Mana Spring and Mana Tide are raid wide. That makes sense to me. You also got the Cleansing Totems that are group based as well, so you can also like juggle Shamans around for that on the fights where that matters. So yeah, I think the the Totem rework is just better. It's just going to be way easier for logistics. It's going to be way easier for people getting into the class. They don't need to download a specific add-on. They don't need to like rip out their hair and go insane over like Totem bullshit. I think this is just superior. Sorry, I think it's better. So the next talking point they have in their overview is like nature immune bosses, and I think like I don't even think like the nature immunity is like the key problem that this solves. So they bring in Molten Blast. Molten Blast is a hard cast fire damage spell for elemental, and this patches up several like holes in the elemental shaman toolkit that I just think was like really important. So it refreshes the duration of your active flame shock effect. That's kind of cool. But the main thing is you get a fire damage hard cast. That means you can bait kicks with it. You can get kicked on the fire on intentionally if you're in like melee range of a kicking mob or something, and then go back to nature, right? And you can also hit like different resistances or immunities if things happen to be immune. So they bring up the fact that, you know, nature immune like bosses and nature immune things are like a problem for elemental, and that's one thing. But I think also just having like the versatility to swap between different like hard casted spell schools, even if you get locked out in your primary school. Let's say you get caught out, got kicked while you're casting a lightning bolt. Well, now you can swap over to Molten Blast, and that feels nice. It feels like you have that sort of versatility that a lot of like dedicated casters have, right? And Shaman, I mean, 2 out of 3 of their specs are caster specs. So I think they should have access to that sort of versatility. I think they should have the ability to kind of bait kicks or play around being kicked or whatever, right? So I think this is like a fantastic thing to round out the Elemental Shaman kit. They got Soothe Element. I don't even know why they like put this in the overview. Like, it's cool. Don't get me wrong. It's a cool spell, but like this is like probably the least important thing here. I don't know. This is sure. This reads like filler. I would have put something else here. Okay, so that's like the general class overview. Let's go into the specific specs. Now, the thing about the talent calculator is there's actually like it's actually so hard to you can't get everything. Is the real distinct takeaway I have from looking at the specs. There's some really hard choices to make with all these specs, dude. It's actually so tricky. So we'll start with Elemental first, because I said Elemental, I just consider Elemental a straight up upgrade. Like, Elemental is so fucking cool. So the first thing they did was they took Earth's Grasp, which is traditionally kind of a shit talent, and they just made it so that your Earth Totems give a 50% chance to avoid spell pushback while casting any Shaman damaging spell onto Earth's Grasp. This is huge. So it's a second tier talent. This means it's viable for leveling. You can face tank mobs, and 50% of the time you're not going to get pushback. In Elemental, viable for leveling. Holy shit, guys, it's raining really hard outside, okay? Elemental, viable for leveling. The other reason Elemental is viable for leveling, because they swapped Call of Thunder and Lightning Mastery. It's now Fire and Lightning Mastery. It also reduces the cast time of Molten Blast as well as your lightning spells, of course. So Molten Blast will basically become Scorch, 1.5 second cast, and Lightning Bolt will basically become 2 seconds, just like in Turtle WoW with Lightning Mastery. But the base cast time of Lightning Bolt is 2.5, not 3.0, basically. So yeah, but with Fire and Lightning Mastery this early in the tree, and Earth's Grasp, Elemental is now, in my opinion, a very like sensible and reasonable leveling build. Maybe Enhancement's still better. I don't really care. I like Elemental. I'm gonna level as Elemental. Fuck you. Like the talent support is here. So yeah, I really like that. I really like a consistent spell pushback option instead of 100% spell pushback reduction after being the victim of a critical hit, which happens 1 in 20 times. What is that? That's a fucking critical fail when you play a D&D, guys. If you roll a D20 and you roll a 1, that's you basically proccing Eye of the Storm. I hate Eye of the Storm. I fucking hate this dog shit fucking talent that we had for 2 expansions. So I'm glad Eye of the Storm is dead, gone, trash, in the bin, and we have this. Like, Eye of the Storm, the only time Eye of the Storm felt good was in PvP. Every other context, Eye of the Storm was miserable fucking dog shit. I'm glad it's gone. Okay, fuck it. It's dead. Alright? Next badass fucking talent. Let's talk about Rolling Thunder. Okay, guys. Rolling Thunder is sick because it does 2 things. So the first thing it does is it contributes like long-term sustained DPS, right? As you crit, you accumulate lightning shield charges, and when you're at max charges and you get another crit with like a lightning spell, it will send a lightning shield ball at the target. So this makes lightning shield a DPS spell to have on, as opposed to water shield, which is more about your mana sustainability. So it's, as a caster spec, it's giving you a choice between more damage, more like mana sustain. So Rolling Thunder is really cool for that, like making the shields a choice and just being like a sustained damage buff. But the other part of Rolling Thunder is that you can instead spend the lightning shield charges to do big burst damage with Earth Shock. So if you Earth Shock with a bunch of lightning shield charges, you basically send a bunch of these lightning shield balls at the target as well, and that nukes the fuck out of them. So it turns your Earth Shock into a big burst spender, right? And that's like part of the identity of like the elemental shaman, is that they're bursty. And so this is so fucking cool. You get to like, if you get to make this choice between sustained versus burst damage. So you can just hold on to the lightning shield charges, and the lightning balls will just pew 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 at the target. And if you want to do like sustained damage, then it's like, okay, it's the burst phase. And now you're all of a sudden you're Earth Shocking on cooldown, and you're just fucking this dude up. And maybe you chill out a bit more. Maybe you go back to like water shield or something. Like it's doing a lot of like heavy lifting for gameplay here. Like people are complaining about it on the beta. The tuning isn't quite there yet, right? It's kind of like it takes a bit too long to accumulate charges, I believe is the problem. I'm not entirely sure. I didn't really play the beta myself, but I just saw people complaining about it. But I think conceptually this talent is fucking awesome. Being able to choose between sustained damage, burst damage, water shield, lightning shield, having agency over like your mana and agency over like your damage output, being more sustained, being chill, and then like being like heavy on burst when you want it, when you need it, but not being able to be bursty all the time. It's not like, this is not going to be a huge deal in PvP, guys, because who the fuck is going to stand there and just eat like 16 lightning bolts for you to just stack up like Rolling Thunder? Like, it's just like, so I think this is a great fucking talent. It's more of a PvE talent, but like, I think this is like, très magnifique. This is beautiful. This is the best talent in the whole tree, in my opinion, conceptually, right? Even if the numbers aren't there yet, we've got the Elemental Fury, boys. No more electrify. Fuck your electrify. Okay, ramping to deal 200% critical strike damage. Cringe. I'm not doing that. Okay, So we're not doing that. We're not doing that. And if you're worried about like, where's our nature damage amplification? Well, Storm Strike just gives that now. Storm Strike just gives a debuff to the boss that increases the nature damage that the target takes. And it's not charge based like it was in original vanilla. Thank fuck for that. So we're going to get some nature damage amplification from that. And we got the Elemental Fury. So Elemental Fury, we're going to be on demand, bursty, sick. Love it. Excellent. Okay, Elemental Precision, 10% threat reduction on everything, as opposed to in Turtle WoW, we got 15% threat reduction in the Resto tree on just nature spells, so that doesn't count for like Flame Shock, Frost Shock. if you use those. That's actually fine. I'm actually fine with this. I think 10% threat reduction for a caster DPS spec, for a spec that's at range, and for a spec that can be somewhat throttled by mana as well as threat, I think that's fine. Like, if you're getting throttled by threat, okay, save some mana, bro. Just chill out on mana. And maybe after you DPS some adds and the tank builds a surplus of threat on the main target, maybe you can start pumping again. Like, it's not a huge deal. And you still have to get like 130% of the tank's threat to rip off of him anyway, because you're at range. So I think 10% threat reduction is fine. And you get 6% hit from this talent. You also get 3% hit from going into the resto tree. So you can get 9% hit from talents. That's a lot more accessible. Hit the ground running. Let's fucking go. As elemental, elemental, I think in the first tier rating, it's so nice. You'll have like 5% crit from Call of Thunder, 5% crit from Title Mastery, 9% hit from these talents. You'll just have all like the secondary stats in place to just really start, just build a bunch of spell power and just hit the ground running. And I think in the first tier rating, elemental will be probably pretty reasonably strong. I don't know. It's hard to tell. I mean, we haven't even played the fucking game yet, but traditionally, this sort of talent support has always made us like strong in the first tier rating. We got Unrelenting Storm here. This is like one of the more arguable talents, one of the talents that could shift around, or you maybe don't max out because it is 5 points. But yeah, it does make building intellect feel better and just passively giving you mana per 5 that way. I don't like the way that they've kind of just itemized mana per 5 randomly on like the fucking like Turtle Wow gear. I don't like the way they've done that. I kind of like the way that you get mana per 5 passively through intellect this way. And because the problem is with like Turtle Wow, every time they put MP5 on a piece of caster gear, they're getting rid of spell hit, spell crit, etc. And if you get rid of spell hit, spell crit, etc., of course you're going to have more mana issues because you have lower elemental focus uptime, right? So like the reason elemental focus is sick is because the DPS stats are actually improving the uptime of elemental focus. The more crits you do, the more of your total spellcasts go through with elemental focus charges, and the better your mana sustain is. So often as like a elemental shaman on Turtle WoW, it's just like, I don't want to get this fucking cringe MP5 gear because it's better off for me to get this, I don't know, crit hit gear. And this crit hit gear will not only improve my damage, but it will indirectly improve my mana economy by giving me more elemental focus uptime, right? So, yeah, it's, yep. And we got Elemental Overload. I mean, classic. I mean, Elemental Overload, Totem of Wrath, nothing needs to change here. Like, these are, like, really cool fucking talents from TBC. What else is there to say? Wind Fury for your fucking spells. Are you kidding me? Like, this is so cool. And then, Totem of Wrath, like, cool fucking raid buff. No problems there. And yeah, it's kind of tricky to get everything you want. Like, you're probably going to have to, you might want to have to give up on like either the pushback protection or like the Call of Flame, like AoE cleave, or give up on the Storm Reach, or like, try to get the Rolling Thunder going. Like, it's just, there's actually a lot of like, it's actually pretty difficult to build like a fully comprehensive spec. So I'm fucking hyped about Epoch Elemental. I think Epoch Elemental is sick. I think it bodies Turtle WoW Elemental. I think it's just get fucked. Way better, okay? Let's talk about Enhancement. Enhancement is a tricky, like, actually I'll talk about Restoration first because it's more unambiguous and simpler and easier. So, Restoration, the main changes are like, you can actually use your water totems and they actually feel impactful and they actually feel like worth using now. And building intellect feels better because nature's blessing, which is really cool. Like, it's just like, it's a core, like, primary stat. We get, like, healing spell power from intellect now. That's awesome. And, yeah, you have, like, more choice with, like, the talent build after this point. I mean, if you don't have an enhancement shaman in your raid, you can spec into enhancing totems here, quite simply. If you do have an enhancement shaman in your raid already dropping that sort of stuff, you can just get guardian, and then the guardian totems are only like group wide anyway. You can go for like elemental warding, and it feels like on Turtle WoW you're kind of bottlenecked into this fucking stable shields bullshit, and it's just not the case on Epoch. So you kind of have a bit more choice here as well. And you're going to have the gameplay of like Earth Shield. Again, there's nothing wrong with Earth Shield. Earth Shield was like sick. Like, it's just I think that the gameplay offered by Earth Shield is going to be superior to the gameplay offered by something like Spirit Link. So I think that's an upgrade. You know, the water totems are an upgrade. You will get dramatically less mana efficient on single target heals without stuff like Undertow and like Tidal Surge and stuff. But to be honest, like, we didn't really need it. We didn't really need to be that disgustingly efficient when it came to like single target healing. You will be maybe more of a chain heal bot, but you know, I don't know. Like it's I think Resto's overall in a generally a little bit more of a positive state, but it's not really too different from TBC Restoration at the end of the day. It feels like TBC Restoration with like some really strong, like good quality of life for like the raid-wide totems and the raid-wide bloodlust, and like it's basically Wrath of the Lich King era bloodlust. Actually, it's bloodlust with the sated debuff, and it affects the whole raid, and you don't do that group cycling fucking nonsense, right? So basically feels like TBC Resto with good quality of life and like Wrath Bloodlust and raid-wide totems, and yeah, I think it will just be a good setup. I think it doesn't really need much. What can I say? And now we get to Enhancement, and it's like this is a bit of a weird one. It's a bit iffy. So you've got a talent here that allows dual wielding. So this is like TBC style stuff. But the other thing that it allows you to do is that your Lightning Bolt and Molten Blast spells no longer delay your next melee swing, right? So the swing timer for your weapon can progress while you hard cast Lightning Bolt and Molten Blast, right? And you can do a melee swing immediately following that if it's ready, right? So this is kind of like adding a sort of like hunter shot weaving gameplay to Enhancement. And specifically, I think this is trying to make Enhancement two-hander viable. So Enhancement, as compared to like Turtle WoW, it's going to have more of like a focus on like the spell damage and less of a focus on like the strike abilities, right? Because you don't have Lightning Strike. But it's going to have more of like the filler of these hard-casted Lightning Bolt and Molten Blasts if you're using a two-hander, which is kind of cool. Or you can stick with like the traditional TBC dual wielding, I think is the idea here. It's hard. It's kind of hard for me to know without like playing it. But yeah, I think that this is very interesting and very cool. It might be hard to tune. The interesting thing you can do with this is that you can go into the Resto tree and you can get like the spell hit crit talent. Spell hit and physical hit talent, and like increase totem aura talent. Or you can ignore the restoration tree and you can go actually deeper into elemental, and you can get some like damage on your shocks and your like fire totems, and like you can even get the pushback protection on the fire totems if you want. You get reduced shock cooldowns. I feel like you could get like reduced shock cooldowns if you're more of like the dual wield build, or you could get like reduced cast time on the Molten Blast and Lightning Bolt, and that way you can like more efficiently like weave in. I don't know why the fuck this random point in anticipation is here. I must have misclicked. But yeah, you can like max this out. You can max out Fire and Lightning Mastery. And you can even get Elemental Devastation. That wouldn't even be completely retarded in this build. So being able to weave like these hard-casted spells in between like your melee swings gives it like a hunter gameplay style. I don't know if it'll be like balanced. I don't know about the tuning. I don't know if the tuning will be all there. Maybe it was just like everybody would be like, oh, dual wield does more DPS, and everybody just plays dual wield or whatever, right? But like conceptually, this is extremely cool. I like it. I love it a lot. And the only like asterisk, the only thing that makes me wary, it makes me weary, is spell hit. So Turtle WoW is this fantastic talent. They reworked Elemental Devastation. They put it into tier 2, and your melee crit strikes just give you 9% hit for 10 seconds. on top of like the 3% spell and melee like hybrid hit, right? So I think this is like a better like implementation of spell hit because it allows like enhancement to actually not get griefed on like their shocks, but like a 17% chance to spell miss against a raid boss. I think like that version of Elemental Devastation is going to be like way more like impactful and awesome. It's weird, right? Because I feel like the Epoch version of Enhancement is steering more into like the spell damage side of things. But where the fuck is the spell hit support? There is no spell hit support, especially if you want to go into like this early into the elemental tree, you also completely skip the 3% hit talent. So you're dealing with the raw 17% chance to miss if you go into like deep enhancement and a little bit into elemental, right? To try and make this like two-hand build work. So I think like the tuning for this is going to be difficult because there's going to be so much variance and inconsistency because there's no fucking spell hit. And it's going to feel bad to play because of the lack of spell hit. So I think they should address like the spell hit here. But conceptually, this is very cool. If you introduce ways for enhancement shamans to get like good sources of conditional spell hit that elemental can't like steal. You know, they come around like, hey guys, I heard you got some spell hit. Can I take that? Like, if you can find a way to build it in such a way where elemental doesn't steal it, like they did in Total WoW by making this like melee critical strikes increase the spell hit, right? If you do something clever like that, I think that this enhancement could be really fucking cool. And it's just. Besides that, it's just enhancement to like TBC enhancement is just I think TBC is just the idea of like building upon TBC as a foundation for like a vanilla plus server. I think is a fantastic idea because the too many classes were just underdeveloped in like raw vanilla, and you know I feel like Turtle WoW had to go so extreme and come up with a whole crazy bunch of stuff for like various hybrid specs to make them like real competitive specs. But you could also just take this route and build upon TPC as a base, and I think that works out pretty well as well. So overall, you know, like I said, elemental, it's just, you know, we Turtle WoW hey mom, can we have vanilla plus elemental? And Turtle WoW says we have vanilla plus elemental at home. Yeah, no. Turtle WoW is vanilla plus elemental at home. Okay. As far as I'm concerned, Epoch elemental is poggers. It's like, it's like fucking sick. I think like Rolling Thunder is like the best fucking talent conceptually here. It's like the most exciting thing. It's even more exciting than like the primal wielding talent for me in Enhance. Enhance, you know, there's some legacy like spell hit issues, but you know, I think that's a tuning thing. I think it's going to be maybe hard to balance dual wield versus two-hander, but like, and obviously you can't shaman tank, but you know, it's going to be hard enough for them to juggle dual wield versus two-hander, let alone dual wield versus two-hander versus tanking, you know, so I can, you know, constrain the design space here, bring it more in line, and like, it's kind of like Frost DK, you know, Frost DK, it was like viable to dual wield or like play two-hander, and you could also tank as like Frost spec, and they had to be like, fuck that, we're making Blood the tanking spec, and we're just going to focus more on like balancing dual wield versus two-hander Frost, right? So, that, you know, it's kind of like, you kind of have to pick and choose as a designer. You can't have it all. And maybe, you know, maybe they would be better off just sticking to dual wield. I don't know. But like, so yeah, enhancement is a bit iffy. We'll have to see if they stick the landing. And restoration, I mean, it's just TBC plus restoration. It's just better. It's just TBC but better restoration, and there's nothing wrong with TBC restoration. So overall, man, like I'm pretty psyched for Shaman. I'm pretty happy about like Shaman in Epoch. You know, there could be various other things. I don't know. The server's not even out yet, guys. The tuning might be whack. The server might be ass for like 10 fucking reasons I haven't even seen or anticipated yet. I'm not sold. I'm not like fully committed to one server or the other. I'll play it by ear, but you know, overall, I think this version of Shaman looks fucking sick, dude. I'm gonna have a lot of fun. I hope. So yeah, I'll catch you guys later. Thanks for listening.